Nielsen.
Peter Heine Nielsen from Denmark.
That's right. Don't they seem to be ascending the stairs kind of slowly?
Yeah.
Almost like they know that they're on film and they want us to like watch. I love it.
Last minute comments with one another.
That's right. Yeah, and we see some. This is just a completely packed house.
What if he plays E4 on the first move?
Well, we saw it. Yeah. Oh, you mean for Magnus?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. So Magnus is playing black, but he's done quite well against Levon Aronian, particularly in the Sinquefield Cup. Remember, there was that crucial last round game in the 2013 edition, which Magnus Carlsen won, even though a draw would have clinched him the title.
Knight f6, knight f3, knight c6 is how the players have gotten here. And let me update the game for a moment. There we have it, g2, g3.
Oh, Brasilimo.
And a reverse accelerated dragon. cd5, knight d5, bishop g2, knight b6. Both players have a lot of experience, and you'll recall, of course, that e2 takes f3 game against Anish Giri that Veselin Topalov had the white side.
You mean Levon?
Levon, pardon me,
had
the white side
against. He had a nice game.
He had opportunity.
In a draw, but
yeah, but never more than a nagging advantage. But certainly Magnus would have studied that game very closely as he prepares for today's round.
You know, it's funny, earlier in the broadcast, Maurice Ashley referred to the mood of Norway getting happier. Yeah. And, you know, there's actually a clothing company called Moods of Norway.
Really?
Or Moods of Norway. And Maurice is wearing a jacket from them. And
no way.
I was wearing socks from them the other day.
Really?
But, you know, the reason that that I plugged them is because they actually have a Magnus Carlsen sweater.
Is it a nice one?
It was sold out. I couldn't get one.
Hate that.
Pretty tilting, yeah, indeed. But, you know, maybe if Magnus wins this tournament, they'll reissue it.
And there you go.
Pressure's on, Magnus.
Order more. So the players have reached, well, they haven't even reached the tabia position, I would say, of this particular defense by black. Normally... Tabia position meaning kind of like the starting position from the opening, the one that you kind of get to quickly. That's right. Didn't that start from back when the queen was really a weak piece? Yes. And chess games used to take super long. That's correct. So they started from like these beginning positions that were like 30 moves deep, because otherwise you'd be playing for 300 moves. Yeah, the Arabs, the Islamic world made the tabias for what they called the master from the master games. And so A2, A3 is the most aggressive line with the idea that there's been lots and lots of games with bishop E6, B4, A5, and so we still haven't reached what I would call the tabia position. This has been known, as has been rook B1, tons of games. And in fact, Magnus Carlsen won a wonderful game from a London Classic a few years ago against Vladimir Kramnik with the white side. So both players are very knowledgeable about this particular setup. So we'll see a very high quality game today indeed. And you mentioned the London Chess Class, so that is the third event on our Grand Chess Tour. Yes, the Grand Chess Tour champion will be crowned in London. And as you said at the start of the show, it is Veselin Topalov, by virtue of his victory in Norway, that's giving him the current lead in the standings. Right. I mean, I was wondering if Veselin won, he wouldn't clinch it, but it would be very close to that. Yeah. Very close to that. But now it's looking like it's... Bishop E6 has been considered for many years the way to combat White's queenside expansion with A5, B5, Knight D4. Again, many, many games from this position. That was not Magnus's approach. Magnus said, okay, Magnus said, I will instead just play rook to E8, B4. The idea behind B4, of course, is to chase this knight from C6 so that this pawn on E5 can be munched. But now with bishop F8, a new defender comes to the rescue of the pawn on E5. Right. And black says, your move B5 is very helpful. Just go ahead and push my knight into the center. I would be most appreciative.
Another reverse dragon. We get this line very often with colors reversed, and this line not considered the most testing for white, but here it's different because black is not trying to get a huge advantage like they are.
As when they're white, they're trying to go F5 and G5 and try to kill you. That's right. So a very strategic game going on at the moment. Bishop E6, Bishop B2, and black to play. So from white's point of view, what white wants to do is he's got both of his bishops on the long diagonals. He would like to play the move rook c1 and simply occupy the square c5. Usually he does it by maneuvering a knight to e4 and then to c5. Also note that he has this knight on d2, kind of a reserve, if you will, ready to go knight to b3 and knight to c5. So that's white's play. From black's point of view, it's really simple. Black would really like to simply trade off these bishops. He would like to go queen d7, bishop h3, and if you say of all the minor pieces in white's camp, what's white's best minor piece? It's the g2 bishop. It's on a beautiful long diagonal, and it's a defender of white's king. So from black's point of view, his task is very simple: trade off those light square bishops. From white's point of view, he wants to occupy the c5 outpost.
Now, if you take too long to try to offer the trade of bishops on h3, note that I can sometimes do things just to prevent it. For instance, I could put my rook on e1 so that bishop h3 could be met by bishop h1. Exactly. Now, that does allow you some attacking possibilities.
I like what Gregory Kaidanov said. Grandmaster Kaidanov, Olympic team member, U.S. champion, contender, all-around great guy, Hall of Famer. He said it, and he said it really well, Jen, that when I was an amateur and I saw that my opponent wanted to trade those bishops, I did this maneuver very often as white. I brought my bishop back, and it was sort of like, you can't force the trade of bishops. Gregory has called this as being one of the most overrated maneuvers in chess. That he basically says, sure, you didn't trade bishops, but guess what? This bishop on h3 is a kind of a snake. It's around your king, and you're always in a back rank checkmate.
I wonder what Donald Trump thinks about it.
Donald
Trump. He thinks that it's overrated also.
There you go. You got to call up Trump and ask him. I'm sure he'll have an opinion, by the way. So it's not everybody's cup of tea that they like to see a black square bishop
it's a psychological,
on the h3.
That's a great point. I mean, and the other thing is, I think that because of this, people underestimate sometimes bishop takes h3 even. I mean, if there's...
I'm drawing the queen to maybe a bad square.
Right, or perhaps like in positions like this, you might have to watch out if I get my rook to c1, I might have some tactics against c7. So white does have some dangerous possibilities here. Rook c1 instead, and then if bishop h3, when we move our knight away, you're going to have to be watching out for that b5 move as well.
Something like this, for example. So you're let me just play a bad move for black, h6. So just to your point, Jen, what you're saying is that I can sometimes lure the queen and take advantage of the fact, oops, there's nobody at home defending the little peshki on the c7 square. So something for black to keep in mind as well. Maurice, you have some thoughts?
E5 could be played, and it looks as though they have drawn in the game. Carlsen and Aronian, just a pretty steady draw, nothing special to write home about there. So the tournament leaders solidifying their position with a quick draw. So back to the action here. B5, again, like I said, does not look really critical, and we are all the way back, in fact, to this position, and so my board decided to show us this drawn position, the final position, quite a boring position here with just rook and pawns. They didn't play anything exciting there. We'll review that game in a second.
Trade of light squared bishops on the h3 square.
Right, because Levon eschewed that overrated maneuver, according to Gregory Kaidanov, of rook e1 and bishop h1.
And knight f3, a5, and then this occupation of d4, which is very central to black's plans, a4. And again, I thought that the position really relied upon who can put more pressure on the key pressure points, the e2 pawn as well as the c7 pawn. Well, we'll find out what happened. In fact, both players succeeded. First came the move queen d5. There was a trade, and there goes that pawn that either was an asset or liability. But then comes the counter blow f5, and after even more trades, there goes the e2 pawn. So everything's even, Steven ending. More pieces got traded, and then suddenly bishop b4. Well, white remembered that it was the black pawn on c7 that he was anxious to capture. He moved his rook to the c file, c7, c6, and more trades. Lots more trades, and before you knew it, we were in a rook ending of rook and 3 versus rook and 3, and the players.
And he agrees to a draw here, but isn't white like much better? You know,
no.
Weakness.
No.
Speaking of overrated, actually, I have to ask where we're setting Levon Aronian up for an interview. What's the most overrated maneuver in chess according to you?
Gee, I haven't thought about it.
I got one: A4, B4, B5. Rook B1,
A4,
Rook B1, A3.
That's my favorite maneuver. Are you kidding? I made me a grandmaster. Hold on. I mastered that concept. Just a second.
I know. I wanted to try to annoy you and then go straight to the interview.
All right.
Levon Aronian leading the Sinquefield Cup with Maurice Ashley.
We are with Levon Aronian after a draw against Magnus. Levon, what was your mindset coming to this game? This game was not very exciting, let's put it. What were your thoughts playing against Magnus?
I was hoping to get a playable position and push for a win. And I think I got a nice position, but then I think somewhere, I mean, I can't really put my finger on it, but somewhere I made an inaccuracy, because it kind of neutralized quickly. Because, I mean, maybe knight f3 is not the right move. That's probably an inaccuracy. But black is very solid. So, I mean, I've looked at this line a bit, and I like white's position. But I think Magnus played precisely, so...
Is it a bit disappointing to have wasted a white in this round instead
of course.
Instead of winning? Or at least being able to press?
No, I don't have to win.
Right, but you at least press.
I have to press. And after knight f3, f5, honestly speaking, I didn't see how to proceed and put pressure on black. So I just decided to go for this a4, and yeah, I realized it's just equal.
So this sets you up? You're still tied for first with Magnus with 3 rounds to go. How does this set you up, you think, for the finale? You're currently essentially in last place in the Grand Chess Tour standings. It must mean something for you to finish in a very high position if you're going to win the tour overall.
Well, I'm going to try to play good moves, so maybe be more precise.
You had an off day yesterday. Did you get a chance for Yasser to burn incense at your feet as he had promised?
I think we're postponing it till, I mean, when I have a good finish, then Yasser will. It will not just end with the incense, and it will be much more than that.
Can you tell us what you have planned?
I don't have anything in particularly planned, but you know, I just know that if Yasser roots for me, and I will try to make him happy with some good games in coming rounds.
Levon, I just have to inform you that in order to play the role that I unfortunately assigned myself, I have bought some incense during the free day, took some severe shopping, but you'll be delighted with the aroma of the incense. It's called radiance.
Oh, wow.
So something special for your devotee.
Well, I thought you would try to do everything to please me. You know? I'm very touched.
I know your fiancée, Ariane Coley, has come, and she wanted to get in on some of this action.
She likes incense.
Not so much Yasser.
Oh boy, this is really going wrong.
All right, well, thank you so much, Levon, for joining us, and best of luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you very much.
One of the more likable people on the tour, certainly a popular player, Levon Aronian.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, Levon. Yeah, I also had the same feeling that during his game that Levon had some pull in the position, and that all it took is just one little inaccuracy for the advantage to slip away. And as Levon mentioned, at the highest level, when you do have the white pieces, you do want to try to press your opponent, and Magnus today neutralized White's advantage pretty impressively.
Well, especially considering the tournament situation.
Yeah,
that just made
that just made this game such a key game for the tournament standings. The two tournament leaders facing off against one another. But it has to be mentioned, Magnus just has performed outstanding against Levon in their individual lifetime matchups.
Well, he's saying that because he's here now.
Oh, is he? Oh, he's already joined us. But no, I mean, look at the last 7 games that they played together. Magnus took them all.
And here he is with Maurice Ashley.
With the world's #1 player, Magnus Carlsen, after a steady draw against Levon Aronian. Magnus, what were your thoughts coming into this game? A draw is what the doctor ordered?
I just wanted to play and see. It seemed that by playing 1c4, he also just wanted to go for some kind of position, not try to get too much from the opening, but then I didn't really expect the line he played, so I tried to improvise a bit. And I think I may be slightly worse after the opening, but in general I should be in time to equalize with this A5 stuff. And then after he played A4, I had already seen that Queen D5 was a forced draw, but I looked for a while if there was a good way to play on, but I didn't see it, so I decided just to go for the draw. And it seemed to me that long term he has somewhat easier position to play. It's easier for him to improve his position, so I thought practically a draw was fine. And of course black against tournament leader, 2 whites coming up, I mean that's then draw is obviously fine.
Now that's good to say you have 2 whites coming up, but if players behind you win, then they'll close the gap and be at a half a point behind. Does that concern you with the fact that you haven't been able to put distance between you and possible contenders?
No. I've only been leading this tournament for 2 rounds. I've been playing catch up, and now it doesn't bother me too much what the other people do, as long as there's not someone who's way ahead like Fabiano was last year.
One last question for you. Jen brought up the mood of Norway fashion. I'm wearing one of their jackets today in honor of Norway. I hear that you also have some relationship with the company?
Yeah, they've been making the Magnus sweaters, so and they have some interesting clothes in general. So I'm glad that you're honoring them today, Maurice.
Of course, just for you. Well, congratulations on this result. I know it's a smooth result for you, and let's hope for some fireworks in the next 3 rounds.
Thank you.
World champion Magnus Carlsen solidifying his position as a co-leader here in the competition.
Thank you.